on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check here with your Impact Review. That's right, that wasn't a thing I didn't stutter. Your Impact Review for July 7th, 2022. And yes, as I said a couple weeks ago, when I can, when I'm home, when I'm not previewing another pay-per-view on Thursday nights, because that's usually what Thursday night recording nights are for, I am going to try and stick a couple of these here every now and then. It's not going to be every week. It's going to be very, very spotty. It's going to be, if I can, if I feel like it, if I'm home, if I'm free, if I have the time, if I'm not doing something else. It's one of those. But coming off of Against All Odds, Impact is in a pretty damn good spot. Now, we didn't shake the entire world with this show tonight, but we did a few things. They've got a while. They've got 5 weeks until their next show, so they're not rushing like they did from Slammiversary to Against All Odds, which I think was like a 2-week build, which was absolutely ridiculous. Didn't get a chance to preview Against All Odds either, and this is another thing that I'm going to try out. If I don't get a chance to preview something, which is most likely going to be Impact stuff, because AEW, I typically get up here with Guapo and do, and that's obviously going to include ROH, because ROH is their NXT now. WWE stuff I can usually spit out earlier in the week if I need to. Impact is the one that's going to fall by the wayside, but what I did do instead when I wasn't able to do a proper preview, is I'm going to head to Twitter and you will get a thread of just all my predictions and thoughts leading into the show. Now, it's not much, but it does maybe encourage a little bit of communication, a little bit of interaction with you guys, which is awesome, because basically, if I don't interact with you guys, then it's just me talking at you guys, and I can't imagine that's nearly as fun. Let's start off with a bang, though. There are a couple of I don't want to say releases, because I know in AEW they're not releases, they're people that have just not been rehired or not been re-upped on their contract. The result is the same. The result is you don't work here anymore. And that was underlined last night on Dynamite when they were in Brody Lee's hometown, so obviously they had to do a Dark Order thing. And you see how small the Dark Order is now, because a lot of people are gone. Now there's a side story that Colt Cabana was going to be released by AEW, and a lot of people spoke up and, you know, had his back and convinced AEW to keep him on. And I think that's an awesome story. I don't know nearly enough about it. I'm not going to make a pod about that because I don't know. I only know the little bits that I've read out of headlines, but that's an awesome story. Somebody who is no longer with AEW is Alan Angels, who opened up tonight's show in his debut match against Speedball Mike Bailey in an X Division Championship match that was fucking awesome. I do think it's kind of cool that they acknowledge his time not only in AEW but in the Dark Order. I think it's cool that he still had a little bit of purple in his gear. It's a nice, neat little touch there. They have a handshake to start, which is a staple of the Speedball Mike Bailey matches. I can say that not only from Impact but also seeing him at Destiny. Check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list. It's fine. They do the handshake, but then Alan Angels starts off the match with a slap to the face off the back of the handshake. Speedball Mike Bailey makes evasion into an absolute art form. He doesn't just duck, he doesn't just weave, he doesn't just avoid. He makes, basically, Speedball Mike Bailey makes ballet out of avoiding other people's offense. And it's really cool, because it's very, I don't want to say easy, but it's very commonplace to make a showmanship type effort in your offense. I can speak, I swear, Jesus Christ. To be showing your showmanship through your evasion is a really cool thing. I've been lucky enough to see in person at Destiny. I'm not going to do the bucket list thing again, but it is a really cool thing to see, and it is sort of unique to Speedball. When they fall out to the outside, Alan Angels gets him with a frog splash off the apron to the floor, to the small of the back that looked like it absolutely wrecked. Commentary go overboard. Tom Hannafin and Matthew Raywalt go into absolute overdrive, plugging Alan Angels as sort of like this frustrated underdog. He's got underestimated on his tights. He's got some other similar thing on one of his tattoos, etc. But it's kind of cool. They're kind of walking the line, because it's one of those, like, they're sort of giving him a reason. If he does something underhanded, it's okay because he's frustrated, but also we want the crowd to get behind him, so they portray him as an underdog. So playing him up as a frustrated underdog, nobody's really a babyface, nobody's really a heel, it's just an It's an X Division exhibition. Yeah, say that a couple of times really, really fast. But right mid-match, they went overboard with that part of the narrative, which I think is something you kind of have to let the crowd decide after more than one match. I'm not saying that the crowd is stupid. I'm not saying the crowd hasn't seen him somewhere else, but I'm saying, like, this is how we're presenting him here in this company, in this context, etc. Angels comes off of the top turnbuckle for a top rope something and is super kicked out of the goddamn sky by Speedball Mike Bailey. Bailey goes up for something of his own and misses and lands badly on the leg, which is going to make me say, go back to, if you're going to watch anything from Against All Odds, I mean, a lot of it was good, but go back and watch the X Division title match, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Trey Miguel. Jesus Christ, they beat the shit out of each other's legs specifically. That match was a lot of fun. That was, I'm going to start doing a thing eventually, and I don't know exactly how it'll work here in an audio form, but for pay-per-views, for shows that I'm reviewing, etc., I think I might do a little separate thing of, like, if you only watch one thing from this show, watch this. Now, I don't know how I'll put that into previews, but we'll get there when we get there. If you only watch one thing from the entire Against All Odds show, set some time aside. I think it's only about 12 minutes long. Trey Miguel versus Speedball Mike Bailey for the X Division Championship at Against All Odds. Go fucking watch it. Because the legs not only become a story in this match, but in another match we're going to talk about later in the night as well. After the bad landing on the leg, Angels has a good flurry of offense for a little bit, and eventually it breaks down into a slugfest with chops. And how? Angels hits the Halo Breaker, which is a helicopter spin into an inverted neck breaker, which doesn't look like a nice landing, I'm not going to lie. They go into another extended pinning reversal sequence, and Speedball hits the 450 double knee drop, which he calls the ultimate weapon, and gets the win. Afterwards, they have a match. The handshake is proper. The crowd's giving the crowd is giving Allen Angels all the Allen chants, which is good. It's a feel-good thing. Respectful handshake after the match. Obviously, it has to be broken up, though. It's broken up by Diener and Joe Doring of Violent by Design, because clearly Joe Doring did not beat Josh Alexander for the Impact Championship at Against All Odds, because he never was going to. I'm gonna backtrack quite a bit to my review last night of Dynamite. This is the exact same problem I have with Brody King taking on John Moxley last night for the interim AEW world title, because it's a mid-card group, and it's not even the leader of the mid-card group. He's not going to win the world title. It's the same thing here. I mean, Josh Alexander is awesome. It was weird seeing him versus Eric Young at Slammiversary. I did also get to see him at Greektown taking on Aiden Prince, who, if you don't know who Aiden Prince is another one I'm going to put out there. Aiden Prince, Channing Decker. Two guys you guys need to check out. Channing Decker was backstage at the Dynamite tapings last night. So is Channing Decker all elite? I'm not a news guy. I'm just asking questions. I can't do a Jesse Ventura voice. It's fine. They both get attacked by Violent by Design and call out Josh Alexander, saying that they're not done with him yet. But instead they get their leader, Eric Young, which is weird, because as the commentary is very quick to tell you, if you haven't been keeping up recently, we haven't seen Eric Young since he also lost to Josh Alexander back at Slammiversary. And basically, he reads them the riot act. He says, what are you doing? What are you doing tonight? What were you doing at Against All Odds? This was not part of my plan. What do you guys think you're doing? We are Violent by Design, but I am the designer. I never thought that you guys would have the same sickness as these people here have, but you guys do have the sickness. Maybe I need to purge you both. Maybe you need to prove yourself to me. Not only did I come out here, not only did we put this group together talking about how the world belongs to us, but now you are going to prove yourself to me by making sure that this world belongs to me. And it was a very cool shift, because I thought either he's going to dissolve the group, or he's going to go from it being a group to it being all about him, and they can either like fit in or fuck off type of thing. So a slight detour in the direction of Violent by Design, which is good, because I thought if they're going to complete the trifecta and Cody Diener is going to take a shot at Josh Alexander, the match will be great. I think I've seen it before somewhere else. Not going to mention. Bucket list. It's fine. But again, it's going to have the same problem as the Doring match, the same problem as the Brody King match from last night on Dynamite. It's going to be an exhibition. Don't even bother calling it a title match, because no. We get the first mention of their next pay-per-view, which is August 12th. It's going to be Emergent. It's going to be on a Friday. Not a fan of the Friday shows. I'm going to put that one out there right now. It's happening in Chicago, which is cool. Lots of things happen in Chicago, just putting it out there. And then Honor No More are backstage hyping up PCO versus Black Taurus, which is something we're going to get later on in the evening. Then we go to a different backstage, other backstage. DEONNA Purrazzo and Chelsea Green are in the back hyping up Deonna Purrazzo's match later on tonight with Mia Yim. The winner of that match tonight is going to go on to Emergence to face Jordynne Grace. So we're going to get Deonna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace, or we're going to get Mia Yim versus Jordynne Grace. Neither one of these options would hurt my feeling, I'm not going to lie. They're interrupted by Gail Kim. She announces that Mickie James versus Chelsea Green is happening next week, and Deonna Purrazzo is going to be barred from ringside, just like Chelsea Green is going to be barred from the ringside later on tonight when Deonna Purrazzo takes on Mia Yim for that #1 contendership at Emergence against Jordynne Grace. Isn't it all coming together nicely? Here's the thing. Gail Kim is awesome, and I think it's really cool that she has a position now within Impact that reflects how much she was a part of that women's division getting off the ground. And I say that with all sincerity, with all due respect, whatever. And I don't think it's intentional, but she does come off as a bit of a bitch. I'm sure it's not intentional, and I'm not saying that Gail Kim is a bitch, but the way she comes off, I think she's trying to come off as like, you guys are the bad guys, you guys fuck around a lot, and you guys are getting your comeuppance, and it's coming from me. And I can understand saying that with a bit of a swagger, a little bit of a grin in your voice. But the way she does it, she just comes off like a bitch. And if you're being a bitch to the heels, you're kind of going to put me behind the heels. I'm just putting it out there. Now, back to the X Division. Trey Miguel, who had that awesome match with Speedball Mike Bailey at Against All Odds for the X Division Championship and came up short while they beat the shit out of each other's legs. He's taking on Laredo Kid tonight. His leg is obvious from the out. I do think it's kind of cool because the leg did play into the Speedball Mike Bailey match earlier on in the night, but it was a minor thing. He landed wrong, course corrected, etc. But in this, it's right from the get. You can see that his leg is fucked up. You can see that it's wrapped up. You can see he's moving slower. The match itself is more technical, more grappling based. Laredo Kid takes advantage right off the bat, hitting a face-first powerbomb on Trey. Trey tries to do a moonsault to the outside and crumples on the apron. Laredo Kid notices, zeroes in on the leg, whips Trey Miguel with his own belt when the belt bit of his ring gear comes off. He gets tripped off the top turnbuckle once again by Kid. Why would you keep going to the top turnbuckle when you know your leg is fucked? And then, after falling and landing on his bad everything, he gets put in a figure 4 by Laredo Kid. Sorry, I can't read my writing. It's fine. Trey pushes through to hit a missile dropkick and then hits a one-legged stomp, which was nice. A snap angle slam roll-up combination by Trey almost gets the win, except it doesn't. Trey collapses off the top and gets a Michinoku driver by Laredo Kid. Trey pushes on, and they make a big point of like, all of his offenses with his kicks and with his Nidioras and all that. And then out of nowhere, Trey Miguel, who again I have a lot of respect for, former Destiny Next Generation champion. Check it out for Spaz Phoenix bucket list. I'm sorry I can't help myself. He won with the Crossroads. We had a guy just come over from AEW to Impact at the beginning of the show, and the guy that started AEW, who's now in WWE, Trey Miguel, used his move to beat this. This was a really cool match, and this was X Division are mostly high flyer guys, but when they need to change gears, they can change gears. And yeah, I hate to say this because I don't want to act like Impact is bad and you shouldn't want to be there and whatever, because they are putting on criminally underrated shows at this point, specifically the pay-per-views, specifically the larger pay-per-views, but the B pay-per-views are still a lot of fun. I would love to see Trey Miguel in one of the big boy companies just to see what would happen. Like, I would love to see Trey Miguel versus Darby Allin. I would love to see Trey Miguel versus Sammy Guevara. If NXT was still good, and good NXT still had the Cruiserweight division, throw Trey Miguel into the NXT Cruiserweight division if it existed as it existed back then. We all know Wes Lee lost his partner because his partner got Me Too'd and a bunch of other shit. So put them back together. That could be a lot of fun. I'm not saying I'm not happy to see him where he is, but he puts on performances that are, I would really love to see you on a bigger... Sort of the same way when DEONNA Purrazzo came to Dynamite to defend the ROH Championship against Mercedes Martinez. Now, she came in to drop the belt, which was absolutely criminal. But seeing DEONNA Purrazzo, who's another one that I have an immense amount of respect for, on a bigger and, in my opinion, more deserving stage was really cool. And I really want something like that for Trey Miguel. When you see somebody like W. Morrissey, who was on the big stage in WWE when he was Big Cass and all that sort of thing, and has been through all the real life stuff that he has, and has, you know, brought himself back, came to Impact and all that, and we got to see him on there for a night when it was W. Morrissey versus Wardlow. I would love to see Trey Miguel have a similar moment. Like I say, put him in there against, oh fuck, I don't know, Scorpio Sky. And let's fucking go. Now we had something that really made me laugh, because Jim Crockett Promotions, sooner or later, I don't know when it is, I'll have to look it up, is giving us Ric Flair's last match. And that's the name of the pay-per-view. The name of the pay-per-view is Ric Flair's last match, which I think is so incredibly indulgent. Not since DX in Your House have we seen something like that. But there's going to be Impact matches on that card, and I guess in a little bit of co-promotion, Impact is going to have Ric Flair moments of the week, historical moments of Ric Flair in TNA. And they went to a video package, and it was Ric Flair showing up at the TNA Impact Zone back in the day, you know, shaking hands with Beer Money and Eric Young and all that sort of thing, and then disappearing into the back, and then coming out later to watch AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle. Now, they didn't show anything that he did. They just showed him walking around, and then they showed him watching, and then that's it. But it did make me think of the very next Destiny show that I'm going to be at, which is Destiny Summer Heat. No matches have been announced yet. I mean, I know Josh Alexander's our champion. I know Decker and Aiden Prince are going to be there and all that. So far announced for that show are Heath Slater, Killer Cross, Scarlett Bordeaux, Kurt Angle, Alex Zane, and I'm forgetting somebody. But it's the Everybody from Everywhere Else show, which is kind of funny, which is, you know, while I'm watching, I haven't really found a place to watch Control Your Narrative, so I haven't seen Killer Cross since Karrion Kross left WWE, but to see Kurt Angle, who's probably not wrestling, which is fine, to see Heath Slater, which will just be a blast, to see all these different people is going to be a lot of fun, and it made me think of that, because you watch this and you saw fucking Beer Money, and you saw Robert Roode with his fucking hair in this little clip that we did here with Ric Flair. So apparently, from now until whenever they do this Ric Flair thing, they're going to be doing TNA/Impact Ric Flair moment of the week, which is nice. We cut to the back where Violent by Design is tearing up the back for no reason, kicking boxes and garbage cans around or whatever. And then they get into a random brawl with the Motor City Machine Guns, with Josh Alexander standing in the background saying, "Hey, why don't you come on over here? We're not quite done yet." And then we get a video package for somebody coming soon to the women's division, and it's Killer fucking Kelly. Get the fuck in. America's Most Wanted are in the back talking about their temporary reunion at Against All Odds. You know, Wildcat Chris Harris, you know, can we say that this was your last hurrah? And they sort of shrug it off with that wrestler's, you know, you never know type thing. And James Storm is like, you know, I'll always be around. I'll always be around for a beer and a fight and whatever. And then he takes a walk down the aisleway to a locker room, and it's Moose's locker room. And Moose isn't in Moose's locker room, but Steve Macklin is in Moose's locker room, because Steve Macklin, of all people, was the deciding factor between Moose and Sami Callihan in the Raven Clockwork House of Fun thing. Now I'm of two minds on this, because I don't really care about Steve Maclin other than it's really funny that he's trying to be Impact Wrestling's version of the Punisher, and it's fine, and he pulls it off a little too well. But I will say, next week we're getting James Storm versus Steve Maclin, and that's going to be a hell of a brawl that I will be paying attention to. Hopefully I'll be talking to you guys about it. Speaking of a hell of a brawl, look at that transition. We got PCO versus Black Taurus. Now, I have to say it, because I have to say it, I love Decay's music. Big surprise, right? Also, there's pressure on PCO because there's a lot, before Slammiversary, after Slammiversary, before Against All Odds, and still now, there's this sort of implication from the rest of Honor No More that PCO is the weak link and eventually they're going to turn on him and all that kind of thing. I hope they do, because Honor No More is one of those things that I can take or leave anyway, but he really is the odd one out, PCO. It would be like Kane joining the Undisputed Era. You got all these amazing, arrogant, top-tier athletes and the monster in the corner. Now that can happen. DX had a period of time where they were sort of using Kane a little bit because they had Tori and Kane was teaming with X-Pac and all that kind of thing, and it was weird, and they sold it on that it was weird, but I don't know. I still to this day do not know how to take the Honor No More faction, because they never really, they do have singles matches to build up into pay-per-views, but, whatever their focus is never a singles match. It's always a big 5 or 4 or 3 on 5 or 4 or 3. As is evident later on, we're going to hear about another match that's happening next week, but it is what it is. Big guys doing big guy stuff. PCO wins with the PCO salt that basically looks like he kicked Black Taurus in the face. Honor No More come in to celebrate after the match. They stare down Crazy Steve, and Heath jumps out of the crowd and hits a hit-and-run sort of flatliner thing on Kenny King and runs back into the crowd. I don't know. Now, watching this, in another part of the backstage area is the Bullet Club, the Good Brothers, and Chris Bay, and Ace Austin. Now, once again, I'm going to say, coming off the back of Against All Odds, I really, really, really like the team of Ace Austin and Chris Bay. I think they work fantastic as a team. I think they were great on the night against the Motor City Machine Guns. It's another one of those situations where the Good Brothers are, quote-unquote, the tag team in that group, but I wouldn't mind them sort of passing the torch and maybe going and doing something else and letting Chris Bay and Ace Austin be the tag team that represents Bullet Club as the tag team champions. They go on to say that they have unfinished business with Honor No More, and I roll my eyes, and then we get the announcement that it's going to be 4-on-4 Bullet Club versus Honor No More next week, and this feels like it's a cycle that's gone into a bit of a tumble at this point, not going to lie. Now, you got the most athletic guys in that group. You got Kenny King, Eddie Edwards, the Kingdom, can't think of their names right now because it's special like that, versus the 4 members of the Bullet Club. Now, I get it. Jay White is off doing champ stuff, which is fine. I mean, they should have given that belt to Adam Cole, baby, but that's another story for another pod, is it not? But this feels very recycled. It feels very, very, very recycled. Shera takes on Rich Swann because Shera and his manager shit-talked Rich Swann after Rich Swann lost the digital media title on the kickoff of the pay-per-view on the weekend. Swann is Swann. He's a charisma machine. He's fast. He's agile. He's very much that cruiserweight / X Division style. And Shera is big. That's the story of your match. Swann gets his ass handed to him for a long time, turns it around with the 619, a series of kicks and a 450 splash for the win. There's not much to report here. I do feel a little bit like Rich Swann is sort of lost in no man's land with Willie Mack losing the company and the fact that they were predominantly featured as a tag team, but it is what it is. Tennille Dashwood and the rest of the Influence are in the back with their new third member, Giselle Shaw, and they're looking at this torn up paper that Masha Slamovich gave to Neil Dashwood at the pay-per-view, which is a picture of herself with a big bloody X through it, and she's been marked by Masha Slamovich. Masha Slamovich is something, isn't she? I don't know. We're getting Tenille Dashwood versus Masha Slamovich next week, and Madison Rayne still has a diamond-studded face plate thing on because she's got her deviated septum in the 4th region of her nose socket or whatever the fuck they're selling, which is why Giselle Shaw had to step in. It's silly. It's fun. She's probably going to get killed by Masha Slamovich next week. It's fine. Rosemary is in the back with Valkyrie because they successfully defended their tag team titles. Or no, did they successfully defend them or did they win them on the weekend? I'm losing it because it's tired in here. But anyways, they are the women's tag team, the Knockouts tag team champions. It's fine. But they did suffer a 3-on-2 situation after the fact because Madison Rayne, even though she wasn't in a match, she still got involved after the fact. It's fine. We shouldn't have to deal with the numbers game. We should have 3-on-3. We should have had Havoc there. I'm going to go to the Undead Realm next week and find Havoc and Taya Valkyrie. He's like, well, I'm going to come too because we're partners and this and that and the next thing. And Rosemary says, oh, it's not a place for you humans to go. I love this shit. I love this shit. Let me underscore it. You guys know this about me. I love the spooky bollocks. I love the paranormal Elseworlds bullshit. I love how much stuff like this twists other people up. I really, really do. But when Rosemary just looked at her and she says, it's not a place you humans should go, fucking brilliant. Fucking brilliant. So we're going to have Rosemary leading Valkyrie through the Undead Realm next week while they look for Havoc. It's going to be lots of fun. I'm definitely reviewing next week. Next week we're getting Violent by Design versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Josh Alexander. Because when we already have Pile of People matches, why not have more Pile of People matches? I don't know. And then our main event. Yes, AEW, take notes. This is in the main event slot of their show. It's DeOnna Purrazzo versus Mia Yim. #1 contendership. Who's going to face Jordynne Grace at Emergence 5 weeks from tomorrow? DeOnna Purrazzo is awesome. DeOnna Purrazzo got robbed a long time ago to make Mickie James feel better about herself, and then that was sacrificed to Tasha Steelz for reasons we don't need to get into. Let's move swiftly on. And Mia Yim is awesome. DeOnna Purrazzo is one of my favorite women in Impact. Mia Yim is probably one of the people that I am most happy to see return to Impact. So, as I said way at the beginning of this pod, and I'm going to say it again now, I would have been happy with either winner here. DeOnna Purrazzo versus DeOnna Purrazzo versus Jordynne Grace would have been awesome. Mia Yim versus Jordynne Grace would have been awesome. But let's go. They hit a double facebuster to start it off at a really high note. Off a collar and elbow tie up, a shoulder tackle battle to follow. I can read my writing. I promise you, it's not that late in the evening just yet. Shoving match is finally won by Mia Yim, and there's a bully choke by Purrazzo. Suicide low dropkick followed by a suicide dive by Mia Yim to the outside. Both women fight for a backslide, and there's a running Hurricane Rana by Mia Yim. DeOnna starts working the leg, and that becomes the story of the match for a little bit. And when we come back from the commercial break, the new story is that she's moved on from the leg to the arm. Let's just take out every limb one by one. I mean, she's got a leg submission that I can't remember the name of, and she likes to use the Fujiwara armbar as a finisher, so take out all 4 limbs. It's fine. Overhand keylock by Purrazzo continues the pressure on the arm, and they double headbutt each other for a double 9 count spot, which was really, really nice. If you crack skulls as hard as they crack skulls, you would be down for at least a 9 count. I'd be out for about 9 weeks. I don't need to be headbutting people. It's fine. I've got a lot of forehead, but I don't have a lot of padding on that forehead. Back to trading forearms. There's a series of kicks by Yim, a cannonball by Yim, eat defeat and boots. Cannonball by Mia Yim, followed by an eat defeat, and both women hit boots. It's nice. Purrazzo tosses Yim off the top rope, but then eats the post shoulder first herself. Code blue by Yim, and they go back to trading shots again. Purrazzo hits the Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit. I'm congested. Don't bother listening to how I'm pronouncing things. She hits the Queen's Gambit, which I forgot was just a really dirty looking spooky spike pile driver. Mia Yim responds with a powerbomb of her own and a package pile driver that gets a near fall, which gets the crowd chanting, "That was 3." She hits another package pile driver. She successfully hits the Eat Defeat and gets the win. We are getting Mia Yim versus Jordynne Grace for the Knockouts Championship at Emergence. Grace comes out after the match is over to go face-to-face with Mia Yim, shake her hand, congratulate her, can't wait to see you at the pay-per-view, etc., etc., etc. It was a really, really nice way to end the show. This match was fucking phenomenal. Show had some lagging points in the middle, not gonna lie, but the debut of Alan Angels versus Speedball and then this to cap off the night was a great way to bookend the show. I will say it from the rooftops. I wish the show had a bigger audience. I wish I didn't have to watch it on YouTube. I wish it had a bigger venues. I wish there was more conversation about it. These shows are not gonna totally set the world on fire and change your entire opinion about wrestling, but I do think, especially when it comes to the pay-per-views, but even on the week-to-week shows, they are going criminally underrated. So if my opinion means anything to you at all, go back, find this show, watch PURRAZZO versus YIM, watch Angels versus Speedball, and tell me what you think down in the box below, or find me at Spaz Phoenix. Also, go back and find that match from Against All Odds that was Speedball versus Trey Miguel. Let me know what you think about that. Tell me how right I am about how awesome that fucking match is. 2 guys killed all 4 of their legs for the X Division Championship. What else do you really need? What else do you really need? And I do like as well the fact that we only really focused on 2. They've got a bunch of titles. We only focused on 2 tonight. We focused on the women's, we focused on the X Division, then we focused elsewhere on the X Division to show that that division has more going for it than just the people currently fighting for that title. I've rambled for quite long enough. It's very tired in here, and it's almost the weekend. Who's going to see Thor this weekend? Let me know down in the box below as well. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, deep breath. I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.